We start with this now. Symboly Rudolf, the Emperor of Uma Musume by Pyrrhixz. Let's go. I have no idea about this horse, except that he already said this is gonna be humongous. Try meat grinder too. What? Calm down, get out of here, freak. Let's go.
The Ashen Beast of Kasamatsu, the Black Assassin, the Conqueror of the Century's End. These are all titles given to some of Japan's most notable racehorses, solidifying their legacy long after their retirement, forever remembered in the world of horse racing.
I still hate the fact that there's a horse named Kids Look Untouchable. What did you think? What did you think was gonna happen when you named your horse like that, bro?
Nicknames are given to identify monumental victories or upsets that a horse achieved over the span of their career. For Oguri Cap, it would be the sheer amount of victories he displayed both in Kasamatsu and in graded races. For Rice Shower, it would be the major Triple Crown upsets against McQueen and Bourbon. And for TM Opera O, it would be the undefeated year of racing at the century's end. All of these titles hold significant weight. However, one nickname displays a history of sheer dominance: Emperor. This title was given to a racehorse who would ride—
Emperor? Imagine your horse gets the title Emperor. That is crazy to me.
Rival some of the strongest of his era and emerge victorious, claiming the title of a Triple Crown victor. A racehorse who in Uma Musume is displayed as a calm and collected senior and the president of the student council, one who many look up to at Tracen Academy. This is the story of Symboly Rudolf, the emperor who would seize the Triple Crown.
It's crazy though that the name is Rudolf. Why? Why does it have just like an old German name? Because yes, Rudolf is a I think I got that one yesterday. Could be that you got her. Yeah, that could be. That's very likely. She's a 3-star.
Symboly Rudolf raced between the years of 1983 to 1986, and at the time of his career, there would only be 3 racehorses given the Triple Crown title. These horses would be Saint Light in 1941, Shinzan in 1964, and Mr. CB in 1983. The one important thing to note before we dive into Rudolph's career is the introduction of the grading system first introduced in 1980.
Ooh, okay, grading system. We got Maiden Novice. We're familiar with that. Up to 5 million yen, up to 10 million yen, up to 16 million yen. Open, Special, G3, G2, and G1. Okay, we got that. I don't know what, I have not seen these categories, but this and these 4, I think that they are in Uma Musume, I think. That should be the case. The funny thing is, when they made Christmas stuff, Rudolph didn't become a reindeer, but a tree. What the fuck, dude? That is such a mystery. Hey, you know what? That's smart. That's smart, actually. Financially, it's smart. Right? Gacha games do that, right? Gacha games do that, right? Where, like, for example, Dokkan Battle does that, right? Where they release Goku and Vegeta that are in base form that fuse into a Super Saiyan Vegito. And then a year later or so, they release a Super Saiyan Goku and a Super Saiyan Vegeta that fuse into Super Vegito. And so far and so on. It's just smart. Because now they can release her in, like, if that's an outfit, I would assume that's an outfit. They could release her as, like, a reindeer later on as well to make more money. Are you familiar with Girl World? Not that I'm aware, no.
4. Graded races were created to identify the varying level of difficulty of each individual race. This evaluation, unsurprisingly, would also come with an increasing level of difficulty in terms of competitors. Graded races had originally started in Europe, with the European pattern race system being implemented in 1972. Following this, TOBA, or the Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Association, would begin their own grading project in North America in 1973. This was in response to European requests for a similar system to be established, and the first list of North American graded stakes were later published in 1974. In the years leading up,
Oh, Europe got its own grading system. Okay. And North America. Okay, interesting. Cool. Didn't know that.
to the implementation of the graded system, there wasn't a Triple Crown series. Instead, Japan had what was known as the 8 Great Races, or the Hachi Daikyo So. This set of races included the 5 Great Classics, these being the Oka Sho, Satsuki Sho, Tokyo Yushun, Yushun Himba, and the Kika Sho. In addition, both the Spring and Autumn Tenno Sho as well as the Arima Kinen would be added to the series of great races. These were considered as the most prestigious races in Japan at the time. With the establishment of the new grading system, ranging from G3 to G1 races, that meant only one thing. New records could be set and new legacies created. And that's where our story begins. Symboly Rudolf was born on March 13, 1981 in the town of Mobetsu, Hokkaido. He was sired by Partholon and Sweet Luna. Luna was a daughter of Speed Symboly, a renowned Japanese racehorse who was the first ever to compete in the Pyrrhixz de l'Arc de Triomphe. Symboly is in honor of the Symboly farm, which is where Rudolf was born. Rudolf refers to Rudolf I, an early king of Germany. During the
We all come back to Germany, huh? Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's cool. As a German, I feel honored that such a great horse is named after a German king. That's cool. That's cool. Based.
the early years of Rudolf's life, he'd be trained and conditioned to participate in a newly established Triple Crown series alongside his trainer, Yuji Nohira. On July 23, 1983, Symboly Rudolf would take to the turf for the first time, participating in his debut race at the Niigata racecourse. Compared to the rest of Rudolf's career, this course was surprisingly short, being only 1,000 meters in total. Due to
That's very short. That's short. That's a short race. What is the smallest in Umamusume? 1,200? I think? That's interesting.
Rudolf's sire's lineage, this was a test of his racing capabilities. Partholon was an Irish racehorse, with those horses being better suited for short-distance sprint races. 1,000-meter courses are usually run with either one corner in a final stretch, or over the course of a straight line, making it optimal for a display of Rudolf's capabilities. Rudolf would place first in this race, establishing a promising career to come. From his debut race in July till the end of the year.
However, that only goes to 1986. That's a short period. Does that mean that horse dies? Not again.
Rudolf would participate in 2 more ungraded races alongside his jockey, Yukio Okabe. These 2 races would be the Ichio Tokubetsu on October 29, 1983, and an open race held in Tokyo on November 27th of the same year. Rudolf would place first in these 2 ungraded races, only further solidifying the possibility for him to be a strong competitor in the years that followed. The open race that Rudolf attended in 1983 would also hold a great significance that would play a role in the future events of Rudolf's career. Originally, the plan was to enter Rudolf in the Asahi High Futurity Stakes, a major G1 stake-graded race for 2-year-old thoroughbreds. This is seen as a year-end championship for the 2-year-old division in horse racing in Japan. Rudolf, by this point, definitely displayed the qualities to win this race. However, his owner had another plan in mind. The open race Rudolf participated in was held in Tokyo, and it just so happens to have landed on the same day as the Japan Cup in 1983. Rudolf's owners aimed to show visiting fans and racers alike the sheer strength that Rudolf had even at an early age, a display of confidence against some of the most fierce racers from around the world. This was during a period where Japanese racehorses were fighting to secure a victory against foreign competitors, making this declaration all the more.
Okay. Interesting. Also, here's a little fun fact about Opera O. Apparently, the jockey failed to win anything in 17 years after Opera O retired. So basically, and he vowed to not visit Opera O until he would win a race. And basically he didn't visit Opera O for 17 years, which is crazy. So even after, like, he couldn't visit the horse's grave even, which is crazy. That's so sad. That is actually sad. Just wanted to throw that in here since I reacted to the Opera O video as well.
Or risky for Rudolf. With this declaration of power, Rudolf would wrap up his first year of racing with 3 total races, placing first in each one. The Japanese Triple Crown series is only available for 3-year-old thoroughbreds, so for Rudolf, his only opportunity would be in the year 1984. Before competing in the Triple Crown series, Rudolf first needed to qualify by winning a preliminary race. Due to this, he would enter to compete in the 1984 Yayoi Show, which would be held on March 4th. The Yayoi Show doesn't only act as a preliminary requirement for the Triple Crown series, but also is widely seen as a key trial race for the Satsuki Show, bringing in a list of strong competitors. Among them was a horse named Baizen Nishiki, an undefeated racehorse who also had 3 victories under his belt. Nishiki would be the fan favorite to win due to a G3 victory he'd achieved at the Kyoto High Yonsai Stakes in February. Despite the strong competition, Rudolf proved to the audience just how capable he was to claim victory. In the final spread of the race, Rudolf advanced to the front of the pack, overtaking Nishiki to solidify his ability to compete in the Triple Crown series. With this upset of the fan favorite, Rudolf will move on to begin his journey for the Triple Crown title. One important thing to note is that up until this point, Okabe, Rudolf's jockey, would also have a history of jockeying Nishiki.
Oh, that's interesting. So the one riding Nishiki was also the one beating him. That's interesting. Also got a lot of first places here. Cool, cool.
From the beginning of his career in 1983 up until the Kyoto High Yonsai Stakes, Okabe, prior to racing in the Yayoi Show, was presented a choice. He had to choose between jockeying Nishiki or Rudolf at the Yayoi Show. Okabe chose Rudolf despite Nishiki, at the time, being evaluated as the stronger between the two. Okabe's choice to jockey Rudolf will result in Nishiki's owners discarding Okabe as a jockey in the future, seeing this choice as an act of betrayal. Once more, Rudolf would be faced against Baizen Nishiki, this time with much greater stakes on the line.
I guess he had just better, a greater trust in Symboly. That just makes sense. I guess. Interesting. Interesting. Logically, you would pick the one that's better, but I guess here he didn't. Guessing there's a carry then in the gacha game of this horse. Yep, that is the truth. Yep, that's how it works. That's how his videos work when he makes them. He makes the videos about the horses in the game.
This would mark the first Satsuki show to be held under the new graded system.
Nakayama turf clockwise 2,000 meters, clear and good weather. Clear and good ground. Okay, let's see how well he does here.
Also ushering in the first year of the Triple Crown series. After Rudolph's victory at the Yayoi show, he was declared as a fan favorite to win. As the race began, Rudolf would hover mid-pack before accelerating after the fourth corner. In doing so, he would once more find himself in the home stretch against Nishiki. Just like the Yayoi show, Rudolf would pull ahead of his competitor, finishing the race a whole length ahead of Nishiki. This wasn't only a first place finish, but also a record-setting time of 2 minutes.
Ooh, record time. Ooh, not bad. First place? Nice.
It's 1.1 seconds. One important thing to note is the fact that Okabe, despite Rudolph's many victories, hadn't raised a whip on him once. Rudolf was seen as an intelligent horse who understood when to act during crucial moments in a race. Upon claiming victory,
That's cool! He knew how to behave! That's cool, okay!
Okabe would hold one finger over his head, signifying this was the first of 3 victories to claim the Triple Crown. After the Satsuki show, held on April 5, 1984, Rudolf would set his sights on the Tokyo Yushun, which would be held on May 27th.
Tokyo Turf, Japanese Derby, Tokyo Turf, anti-clockwise, 2,400 meters. It's cloudy and heavy.
At this point in Rudolph's short career, he had already made a name for himself as a fierce and feared competitor. Several racehorses avoided running in the Tokyo Yushun simply because Rudolf was a competitor.
The aura. Why are these horses aura farming unlike Golshi? Yeah, but to be fair, I think bro is doing this behavior on purpose. You cannot tell me that bro is not doing this on purpose. I think bro knows what to do. Knows what to do. He just doesn't want to.
As the Tokyo Yushun began, Okabe would later admit in interviews that he was hasty to have Rudolf advance forward during the second leg of the race. Rudolf was hanging in 7th to 8th place over a majority of the race itself, most likely shaking Okabe, leading to an early command to spurt to avoid a devastating loss. For the first time in his career with Rudolf, Okabe would raise the whip and strike Rudolf to command him to move forward. However, despite his jockey's hasty decision, Rudolf would continue to keep his pace. As the racers reached a final turn to the homestretch, Okabe would state that it was as if Rudolf were speaking to him, "Hold on tight" being what he heard. After this moment, Rudolf would surge from the outside from 7th place all the way to 1st. Much of Rudolf's career isn't shown in the Uma Musume anime.
That's so cool though. That the horse was how does that work? How are you aware? How is a horse that aware of like preserving energy and then just sprinting into the front? How is a horse that aware? That's so cool.
However, the Tokyo Yushun is an exception. The Yushun is displayed in Season 2, Episode 1, where we see Tokai Teo, a real-life offspring of Rudolf, observing her second victory in the Triple Crown series. Just like in the anime,
I like her design. It's that kind of like it's really cool, royalty-like. We have like that white strand of hair right up there. We got those earrings. I like the dark brown parts here. I like the shoulder thingy there. This part, the medals there. She looks cool. She looks cool. I don't have her. I haven't gotten there. I did not get her. I don't have her, unfortunately. Yeah, I like her design. I think it suits.
Following this race, Okabe would hold 2 fingers.
Yeah, with that red part here, whatever you call that. I like her design. I think it's cool. They did a good job.
Over his head, signifying the second win of the series. This victory only left the Kika Show to claim the Triple Crown. Rudolph's calm demeanor, even when all hope seemed lost, taught his jockey a lot about the horse itself. He would later admit that this race in particular would teach him a lot about horse racing. Before racing in the Kika Show, Rudolf would participate in the Saint Light Kinen, a G3 race held on September 30th, 1984. At this point in his career, Rudolf had already displayed a unique aptitude for courses of varying lengths. Despite his first year of racing being on courses ranging from 1,000 to 1,600 meters, Rudolf still managed wins in medium and long distance races, ranging in length from 2,000 to 3,200 meters. Especially due to the lineage Rudolf was from, this was seen as a remarkable feat. It's rare to come across racehorses capable of performing well over all 4 aptitudes on the racecourse. Just like the Sasuke Show.
Actually cool, especially considering that he started with like sprint and stuff like that, right? Short and medium distances. That's interesting. That's interesting. I guess somebody invested a lot into stamina and got the right legacy polls.
Rudolf wouldn't only win the Saint Light Kinen, but also set a record time of 2 minutes 13.4 seconds. This would mark Rudolph's 7th consecutive win, retaining his title as an undefeated racehorse, even after claiming 2 of the 3 Triple Crown titles. In the entirety of Japanese horse racing, even before the establishment of the grading system, there hadn't been a single competitor who claimed the Triple Crown without suffering a single loss. Shinzan would suffer a second place finish a month before winning the Kika show, while Mr. CB would place second a year before competing for the Triple Crown title. Saint Light, much like CB and Shinzan, would also—
Wait, that horse is not available, but she looks cool. Holy crap. Oh, she looks cool. That's cool. That dress looks cool. Never mind. I don't think she's in the game. I haven't seen her, so I don't think she is on the global version. That's cool.
Suffer a second place finish prior to claiming the Triple Crown. If the stakes were high at the Tokyo Yushun, they would be even greater at the Kika show. Unlike the Tokyo Yushun, Okabe would enter this race with more confidence, knowing he could rely on Rudolf's racing capabilities. During the span of this race, Rudolf would comfortably hang near the front of the pack before the last straight, where he'd break away and secure his first place position. For a moment, it seemed as though a fierce rush to the finish line would take place, with Goldway tailing close behind Rudolf. Despite the pressure, Rudolf would break away fully, and solidify himself as the fourth horse to claim the Triple Crown title. In addition to this prestigious achievement, Symboly Rudolf would—
Yes, that's cool. Why are they're all women in the game if the horses are male? Simple. If you don't understand it, it's very simple. Game, and you add first game. Add cute women, profit. That's really all it is. That's really all it is. That's the idea. This game wouldn't be successful if it was dudes. And there are some girlies in there actually too. Not like Haru Urara is female and stuff. There are some. But yeah, it just works. It just works. Men don't sell, exactly. Men do not sell. Look, I found a video about the Sonic the Hedgehog at me. If you watch it, sending it in request. Oh boy.
also be the first horse in Japan's history to claim the Triple Crown title undefeated, winning 8 of the total races he'd enter over the span of his career. To further emphasize—
first place. All of them first place. The male and female horses actually have different Triple Crowns. Yeah, that makes sense as well. They probably also have like different distances and stuff, likely, potentially. They have like a few different requirements. Makes sense, because, right, stallions would be stronger most of the time.
How impressive this achievement was. At the time of writing this script in 2025, there would only be 2 racehorses to achieve the same victory, these horses being Deep Impact in 2005 and Contrail in 2020. To win the Triple Crown series is an impressive feat in itself, but it is nearly unheard of to win without suffering a single loss at all in a horse's career. With the win of the 3rd Triple Crown race under their belt, Okabe would confidently hold up 3 fingers following the win at the Kika show, solidifying the establishment of Japan's 4th Triple Crown winner. Following the Kika show, Rudolf would put himself to the test. As his owners had displayed a year prior at the open race in Tokyo, it was time for Rudolf to show the world what he was capable of. On November 25th, 1984,
come on, you can do this. It'd be so cool. The Emperor is so fitting. Good, yes, better can be. Okay. Bro really got Vietnam flash when he heard Sonic the Hedgehog. Of course I would get Vietnam flashbacks.
Symboly Rudolf would participate in the Japan Cup. It would be at this international race where Rudolf would face some of the strongest horses in his career, 2 notable names being Mr. CB, the previous year's Triple Crown victor, and Katsuragi Ace.
Ooh, she looks cool too! She looks cool too, like the black. She's all black except for the upper part, right? Which is like light blue, baby blue. I like her. She's cool. She's cool.
Ace, although not a Triple Crown racehorse, was a fierce competitor in his own regard, having secured several victories over the span of his career leading up to the Japan Cup. He had clear potential to give Rudolf a challenge. Ace's style of running was very similar to that of Silent Suzuka, a horse covered in one of my previous videos. A runaway method style of racing, running at full speed from the start to finish at the front of the pack. With such a strong lineup of Japanese competitors, Hopes are also very high to have Japan secure a victory for the first time since the race's establishment. Since the Japan Cup's creation in 1981, Japan had suffered consecutive losses from foreign competitors. Even though Rudolf fought hard in this race, he'd unfortunately suffer the first loss of his career. Even though Rudolf had a bad temperament while in the stables, being nicknamed as the Lion, Rudolf was a horse who normally had a calm temperament on the racecourse, being able to remain composed even in critical situations. Even so, after suffering this defeat, Rudolf would show clear irritation at his first loss. Even though he didn't place first, it's still remarkable that Rudolf finished third in a race against the world's strongest.
Third. No! You should have won this! It would have been cool! Sag.
Competitors. The Kika show was held only 2 weeks prior to the Japan Cup, giving Rudolf little time to recover for such a critical race. Though Katsuragi Ace isn't in the Uma Musume anime, she is present in the game, where she both looks up to Rudolf and CB as inspirations, but also as rivals. Impressively, Ace would hold first place for a majority of the race, his front-running style showing clear domination of speed and power with this victory. There wasn't much time to wallow in defeat though. Only a month following the Japan Cup, the Arima Kinen would be held. Originally, Rudolf's trainer had no plans of entering him in this race. However, one sudden announcement would change that decision. Katsuragi Ace's owners would announce his retirement after competing in the Arima Kinen.
Ah, okay. Rudolf wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm ending it. Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like it, like the oomph was out, I guess. No more oomph.
We've seen before instances of rivals suddenly retiring and the whole left with never being able to overcome past defeats. A prime example being Jungle Pocket with Agnes Tachyon. Due to this sudden announcement, and seeking revenge for the Japan Cup's defeat, Symboly Rudolf would be registered to race in the 1984 Arima Kinen. Once more, just like the Japan Cup, Rudolf, Ace, and CB would be put against one another. Many spectators saw this as a continuation of the Japan Cup race, with 3 of the strongest racehorses of their generation being put against one another. Throughout the entirety of the race, Rudolf kept a close mark on Ace, and on the final straight, would accelerate, surpassing Ace and claiming a victory at the Arima Kinen. This would also mark a—
Bro was basically saying, oh, the first time was just an accident. That's cool. That's cool. Basically a second try.
another record time set by Rudolf, finishing the race at 2 minutes 32.8 seconds. A loss in the previous month had only pushed Rudolf and his handlers to strive for even greater achievements in the future. Following this victory, Rudolf would end the year of 1984 with the Triple Crown title, and only one loss in his career. Now, for many horses we cover in these videos, normally that would be the end of our story. Rudolf would either retire or become a breeding stud.
There's more? How could there be more? Like, is there gonna be a bunch of what could there be more?
But this is the Emperor we're talking about here, and we still need to cover the race that gave him that title. Entering the year of 1985, Rudolf would compete in 6 total races. Coming off such a dominating year that was 1984, expectations were high to see more victories from the public. On March 31st, he'd compete in the first race of the year, the Nikkei Show, a G2 graded race. Starting the year strong.
Didn't they say they would want to retire him? And now he's running anyways? Or is this now a retired is this for retired horses?
Rudolf would seize yet another victory, making his overall record at this time.
Well, that wouldn't make much sense of calling him the Emperor, because who would care about a rate? Well, I do care for how Aurora. I need to care about the retirement races.
10-1. Following the Nikkei Show, Rudolf would race in the Spring Tenno Show, claiming another victory in his 3rd year of racing. At this point, Rudolf was displaying his strong presence on the racecourse once more. However, in Rudolf's race history, one particular race would stand out. Following the Spring Tenno Show held on April 29th, Rudolf would be set to race on June 2nd at the Takarazuka Kinen. There isn't any placement record for this race though, with Rudolf being scratched from the competition. A day before the Takarazuka Kinen, while training at the Hashin
When was he scratched? Uh-oh. I fear terrible things. I feel terrible things. No.
racecourse, Rudolf would slip due to the mud that had newly formed.
Oh no. We have a slipping horse. No. We have a slipping horse. No.
Formed on the track. Due to this, Rudolf would suffer a shoulder injury and Okabe's slight bruising from being thrown from the fall. Though his handlers expected a speedy recovery following the cancellation of the Takarazuka Kinen, a new problem would quickly arise. Rudolf began experiencing muscle pains along with his shoulder
No, we're doing it again! No, stop!
injury, and to make matters worse, the process in order to treat his injuries would be painful for the racehorse. At the risk of retirement, Rudolph's owners would authorize a treatment utilizing fine needles to aid with muscle stimulation, as well as extracting infected blood riddled with bacteria. This method of recovery was a gamble in itself, but luckily, Rudolf would eventually recover, aiming to participate in the remaining G1.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm not too happy yet. That isn't a good sign. Usually that is still not a good sign. Please let this horse grow old.
Races of 1985. On October 27, 1985, Rudolf would enter the Autumn Tenno show. Having won the Spring Tenno show, he was highly expected to claim yet another victory. Just like the Japan Cup, this race would result in Rudolph's second loss of his career. One interesting thing to note is the fact that, despite Rudolph's many victories, his defeats were discussed much more in the racing world. Rudolf was such a strong competitor. However, his losses were very infrequent and always at high-stake races, the Japan Cup against the world's strongest competitors, and the Autumn Tenno show, where he would have set yet another record if he'd placed first. Up until this point, no racehorse had ever claimed back-to-back victories at the Spring and Autumn Tenno show. It wouldn't be until Tamamo Cross's career in 1988 that the record will be set. This thought of not only becoming the first Japanese racehorse to win the Japan Cup, but also the possibility of being the first horse to win back-to-back victories at the Tenno shows, left a lot of expectation on the table for Symboly Rudolf. Speaking of the Japan Cup, following the Autumn Tenno show, that would be the exact race that Rudolf would participate in next. A month following the Tenno show, on November 25, 1985, Symboly Rudolf would once more take to the racecourse, facing off against the strongest from around the world once again. The pressure was not only there for Rudolf to redeem himself from last year's defeat, but now, to also continue the winning streak Katsuragi Ace had established a year prior. Both Ace and CB wouldn't be participating in this race, leaving the door wide open for Rudolf to
Ooh, please win this, it'd be cool. And don't die. Die of old age, that's the only thing I need. Please, I beg of you.
rise to claim Japan's second victory at this race. Unsurprisingly, Rudolf would be set as the overall fan favorite to win, with Golden Ivory from the United States being the second favorite overall. Once more, at the final stretch of the race, Rudolf would surge ahead of his competition, claiming victory as the second racehorse in Japanese history to win the Japan Cup title. This not only was monumental after a crushing defeat at the Autumn Tenno show.
See how he never uses the whip? He never uses the whip. Until now, he has only done it once. And even then, the horse said, nah, let me handle this. This is crazy.
But also would earn Symboly Rudolf the nickname of Emperor. Rudolf had not only claimed the Triple Crown title without any losses at the time, but also would stand atop of the world's strongest at the 1985 Japan Cup. These back-to-back victories also hold a great significance in Japanese horse racing history, instilling faith that Japanese-bred horses could contest the strongest from around the world. Funnily enough, Rudolf was such a strong competitor that betting tickets in his favor were commonly referred to as bank tickets, with those betting on Rudolf knowing that it wasn't a gamble whatsoever, but a guarantee.
Bro, imagine you could just throw money at Rudolf. And just win. That is so cool. You would just know that you would win. Go Rudolf. Yeah, he's cool. I need this horse somehow.
Guaranteed payout instead. A presence so strong that victory was deemed absolute. A commercial which aired in 2013 by the JRA would use Rudolf as an example to highlight the Japan Cup held that year. It would state the following message. The 1985 Japan Cup. A man once said, "There are no absolutes in horse racing, but that horse is an exception. A horse whose 3 defeats make you want to speak more than his many victories. Symboly Rudolf, the eternal emperor. That autumn, Japan had reached the world. Conquer the globe." This would showcase that even decades after Rudolf's retirement, his impact and legacy would
so cool. The opposite of Urara, who was banged on losing as a good luck charm. That is crazy. I'll just put all my money on her, and I get the money.
still stand strong as the years progressed. Following the victory at the Japan Cup, Rudolf would participate in his second Arima Kinen on December 22, 1985. Due to this being Rudolf's last race in Japan, the goal was simple. It wasn't just to win, but to show the audience a sheer display of power that Rudolf possessed. Okabe didn't mark any competitors this time around, instead trusting in Rudolf to show the audience a true spectacle of horse racing. Ending off a dominating legacy, Rudolf would win his second Arima Kinen, ending his career in Japan with sheer dominance. Over the span of his career in Japan, Rudolf would be registered for a total of
16 total races. It was scrapped from one, was scratched from one, and lost 2.
16 races, placing first in 13, second and third in 1, and having to withdraw from the
Okay, 16 races. 13 won, 1 second place, 1 third place, and 1 he was scratched from due to injury. So that's crazy. That's insane.
Takarazuka Kinen. With such a strong legacy established in Japan, Rudolf's new aim was to take on the world. In 1986, Rudolf would aim to compete in the L'Arc de Triomphe. Evidently, Rudolf's owners at the Symboly Ranch wanted to rake in more profits that came with Rudolf's victories. Against the request of Rudolf's trainer, Yuji Nohira, Rudolf would be registered to race in the San Luis Race Stakes held in the United States. Nohira was concerned of having Rudolf race in such close succession to traveling and undergoing rigorous training. This lack of self-awareness for Rudolf's well-being would come to backfire on the owners of the Symboly Ranch, with Rudolf placing 6th at the San Luis Race Stakes. Rudolf would be injured in this race, suffering from a sudden outbreak of ligamentitis. Had Rudolf been properly trained and conditioned, we would have seen one of the greatest races in history. Symboly Rudolf versus
No, don't go the route where it's supposed to go. Also, that horse looks terrifying.
Dancing Brave, an extremely strong racehorse from America who won the L'Arc de Triomphe in 1986. Sirius Symboly, a horse from the same ranch as Rudolf, would compete in Rudolf's stead, placing a devastating 14th in the L'Arc de Triomphe. After returning to Japan, Symboly Rudolf would celebrate his retirement with his handlers holding a ceremony for him on December 7, 1986. As Rudolf walked amidst the crowd, he could be seen wearing the 7 crowns number, signifying the wins over his career. A year after this event took place, Symboly Rudolf would be inducted to the JRA Hall of Fame for the sheer dominance of his career.
Yeah, you better include him in that. Yeah, definitely. So dominant, aura farming horses.
Displayed in Japan. In retirement, Symboly Rudolf would become a breeding stud who would produce several strong offspring, the most notable being Tokai Teo, who I've also done a video about if you'd like to check that out. Rudolf would enjoy visitors and retirement life until 2011, where he would pass away at the age of 30. This is also notable.
Yes, we got a horse dying of old age, not due injury. W.
Due to just how long Rudolf lived, and even in retirement, still maintaining a sharp physique. Horses normally live till their mid-20s, making Rudolf's title as emperor hold much more value even in his retirement. Rudolf's legacy still holds its weight even in modern day, with many regarding him as one of the strongest horses to ever emerge from Japan. So let me ask you this simple question. After listening to this extensive history of our beloved emperor, wouldn't you like to see an Uma Musume anime season dedicated to him? There's many Umas who surround Rudolf that could be given the spotlight as well, such as Katsuragi Ace and Mr. CB. Even though Rudolph's career,
if they do want to make anime, like, they could do plenty. They could definitely do stuff. They could definitely. You know, a poke of the medication has made me sleepy, but I'm listening in the background. Fine, fine. All is good. Listen in the background. Medication is more important. They could do plenty of stuff, and I still haven't watched any of it. I still have to.
ended with a crushing defeat, his legacy remains as one of the strongest in Japan. This was the story of Symboly Rudolf, a racehorse who showed sheer strength against the world's strongest, personified in Uma Musume as the Emperor of Traisen Academy, the ideal, the pinnacle.
What did that say? Hold up.
Horse who showed sheer strength against the world's strongest, personified in Uma Musume as the
Eclipse first, the rest nowhere. That's great. That's interesting. There's no more big stallions from Gold era now that grass is gone. Yeah, I also saw the post on Twitter. That's so sad.
Emperor of Traisen Academy, the ideal, the pinnacle of the racing world. Did you enjoy this video, and who should I cover next? Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below.
I don't care, just do it. I'll be real. This is good. This was a good video. I like this. I like this. Symboly Rudolf is actually really cool. Really, really cool. I hope I get the chance to pull her. I really do. Japan English is a vibe. True. I really hope I do get her at one point. It'd be so cool to just have her. I wonder how dominant she is in the game as well. After you burn through 10 joints, that's crazy. That's gonna be cool. I really hope I can get her. I don't know how dominant she is in game, or if she's just as dominant in her career as she is as he was IRL. That's cool. I will react to more of these when they come out. Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell.